Injury report wise, out today would be Tay Davis, Taki, Nick Harris, and then we'll get Wyatt Teller back, and then Ronnie Harrison, who I know was back last week, will be doing a little bit more. So having him out there. I know you guys got the statement that we released, saw the news. So we're working through that right now with the league on contact tracing. So the hope is to still get on the field at some point today, but we don't know exactly when that will be. So we had our meetings virtually this morning. We'll continue in the early afternoon with meetings, and then really just stay tuned to see if we can get out there on the field with the whole team, either side of the ball, which is something we've done before. We shall see. So just going to wait for more information there. And then, with this game, understand what's at stake. The guys are excited about the opportunity. It's a team that I have a ton of respect for. They're well coached. They have very good players. Their schemes are very sound. So, going to be a great opportunity for the guys. And we got to have a great work week, great preparation so that we can perform on Sunday. And with that, I will take any questions.
Thank you, Coach. The first question will go to Jake Trotter.
Yeah, hey, Kevin, I was just going to ask you about your plan today. So at this point, do you foresee pushing practice back into the afternoon if you need to, even this evening to get it in? Is that kind of the plan?
Yeah, what we're going to try and do, Jake, is wait to hear back from the league. And the number one thing, obviously, throughout this whole year has been the player safety, safety of the staff. So if they deem that we're allowed to go in there and practice, which I feel confident about, we'll go in there and get our work done. But we'll adjust as they deem appropriate. And that's really just the information that I'm waiting on now.
The last 5 days have been the most complicated for you all in terms of dealing with COVID-19, with guys going, on and off the reserve list. What is the challenge for you going forward, and what has it been like trying to juggle everything as you prepare to play such an important game Sunday?
Yeah, it feels like that's 2020, Jake. I think we're all prepared to adapt as necessary, and really just take this thing day by day and figure out a way to make sure that we're getting our work in.
Thank you, Jake. Jeff Shadell is next.
Hey, Kevin, 2 questions. Jedrick Wills, what is his status? Is he still unavailable, or do you have him back?
I think we will get him back, but I don't have the official word just yet.
And then, Kevin, would you encourage your players to get the vaccine when it's available? Or where do you stand on that?
I would encourage them to listen to the medical professionals, and I will do the same.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Jeff. Scott Petrick, you're up.
Hey, Kevin, the 5 guys that went on the list Saturday as a close contacts, are they still on schedule to come back tomorrow?
Yes.
And how troubling is it that you're having these COVID issues this late in the season and right before, obviously a huge game?
Yeah, I mean, you don't want to have these at any point. I want our guys to be healthy and safe, but we'll deal with this as it comes our way. And that's what today looks like, and we'll be ready to get our work in however it is. I told the guys this morning, we're going to work, whether it's on the field or virtual, we'll work. And same thing tomorrow. We'll just take it as each day comes.
Thanks.
Thanks, Scott. Mary Kay Cabot, we'll go to you.
Yeah, Coach, just wondering, the other day, I think it was Monday, that you kind of alluded to the fact that you addressed this with the players, you addressed it with the guys that were the close contacts. And it almost seemed that you had something that you needed to share with them, that perhaps they weren't following protocols the right way. I mean, do you feel like your players have done everything they possibly can to stay away from testing positive, or are there some issues going on?
No, I think, Mary Kay, throughout the season, since we got together, there have been constant reminders that we're going to follow the protocols and keep everybody safe. I think by and large, you guys have done a very nice job of that. And there's situations that we can learn from. So we'll continue to do that, Mary Kay. We'll continue to preach to all of our staff, players, to make the right choices. And I think guys are doing that, and we'll continue to do that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mary Kay. Marla Ridenour is next.
Yeah, Coach, I'm asking this just in light of some of the things that Jarvis and Higgins tweeted. I mean, you guys have built such a strong trust, even with the virtual realities. Do you think this could damage that with, these positives coming up from the players? I mean, you have a good bond. Do you think that could be in jeopardy?
I think we're okay there, Marla. I think I don't know exactly what they tweeted, but I would just tell you that our guys are understand the challenge in front of us and also understand what we have to do to get everybody back.
Thank you.
Thank you, Marla. Aditi Kinkhabwala has our next question.
Hi, if we turn to Sunday, there's sort of this narrative that things are easier for you now that Ben Roethlisberger is not going to be playing for the Steelers. But if you look at the last 4 games, outside of maybe a quarter and a half, Ben Roethlisberger really hasn't played particularly well. Why does he make so much of a difference? Why is it in theory more of a challenge to face Roethlisberger than it is Mason Rudolph?
Yeah, Didi, I see the challenge as facing the Pittsburgh Steelers. I have a ton of respect, obviously, for Ben Roethlisberger. He's a great player, and we need to get to know this entire team, and that's part of our preparation. We really have to dive in and understand the challenge in front of us. But then at the end of the day, really the onus is on us and making sure that our preparation is on point. We do everything that we need to do to get prepared and really worry about ourselves as much as our opponent.
When you say that, and obviously you need to win here, so you have to, it's 1 week at a time. I get that. But will you at all consider or does the possibility that you could be facing them the very next week in the playoffs play in any way in what you throw at them or what you reveal this week?
No, I think you mentioned it. You got to win this week, and we got to do everything in our power to win this week, whatever it takes.
Thank you, Aditi. Nate Ulrich will go to you.
Hey, Kevin, along the lines of facing Rudolph, we talked to you about the Myles Garrett fight last year heading into the October 18th game, but Rudolph wasn't starting, so this is a different dynamic. Is it something you need to address with your guys to, hey, make sure that you keep the emotions in check during the game? You don't want to get any penalty that'll hurt the team or anything along those lines.
Yeah, Nate, I think we're well past that incident, both Myles and our team. And, we talk about maintaining our composure in every single game. It's nothing new to this week. We got to make sure that we're keeping the main thing and focusing on our work.
Thank you, Nate. Daryl Ryder will go to you.
Hey, Coach. I know history doesn't really have an effect when you guys are playing the game on Sundays, but the Steelers have been kind of the ghost that's haunted the Browns since coming back. Just 5 wins since the 2001 season. Is there something to be said for, somewhat of a psychological aspect going against a particular team?
I don't think for the people in the building, Daryl. I mean, I'll take your word for it if that's the numbers, but that's not something that I spend time thinking about. The players, the coaches, we have a goal in mind, and that's trying to get a win this week. But to think about history, I don't think it really pertains to the players or the coaches, really the building, I should say.
And how much are you hoping that TJ Watt gets Sunday off?
No, you know what? He's a great player. He's somebody that when you watch the tape, he's making a play almost every play. Plays with great violence, anticipation. He's long, plays with effort. Really got a lot of respect for him.
Thanks, Daryl. Scott Petrick is next.
Kevin, I know it's important every week, but following the 3 fumbles and playing that Steelers defense that has a lot of turnovers, how much do you emphasize ball security with Baker this week?
We emphasize it with everybody, Scott. We've fumbled way too often of late, and you can't just focus on fumbles lost. You have to focus on fumbles. So everybody who touches that rock has to do a great job, and that pertains to a returner, a wide receiver, a tight end, running back, quarterback, center, quarterback exchange, all of the above. If you touch the rock, you got to be using great ball security technique in every game. And we understand how important the turnover margin is to our success to really every team's success in a given game.
And it seemed like Baker's 3 fumbles Sunday came on 3 kind of different type of plays. So what are the teaching points for him?
Yeah, I think, you take each one of those plays and you talk about what technique you can use. 2 hands on the ball in the pocket, tucking it away, all those things. You constantly harp on that, and then you got to practice it, and you got to make sure that you're practicing it so it becomes just rote memory. And he does a nice job. He's taking care of the ball this season. He understands all of this. I think all of our players understand the importance of the winning that turnover margin in this game and really every game.
Thanks.
Thanks, Scott. Mary Kay Cabot, back to you.
Yeah, Coach, with Ben out, what are some things that you're thinking about when it comes to Mason Rudolph? And Tomlin said the vast majority of his other players will play in this game. So what are some of the other things that you're kind of hammering home this week with your players about the Steelers?
Yeah, I mean, we have tape of Mason Rudolph playing in games, so that's where you start. You make sure you understand him as a player, understand him and his strengths. So really, we prepare to face the Steelers. You study their depth chart, you study their players, you study their schemes, and then in regards to the quarterback, you just got to get to know him, and that's what we're working hard as a staff and as a defensive staff to understand his strengths and how we anticipate they'll play the game.
And potentially they could still have a lot of their best defensive players on the field, right? I mean, so it's not like, as Mike Tomlin said, it's not like they're approaching this as though it's a preseason game.
No, I mean it's you don't have a 100-man roster where you can rest everybody. You're playing your guys. We have to play our best football to win on Sunday.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mary Kay. Jeff Shadell, you're up.
Hey, Kevin, your one game at a time mentality. So how do you think that is going to help you in such an important game?
I mean, that's been our mentality, Jeff, all season. It's served us well. The guys understand that we're not really ever going to look back. We're not going to look ahead. We're just going to focus on what's in front of us. And what's in front of us is a really good football team coming into our building, a well-coached football team. So we understand and accept the challenge. And then we really got to focus on our work, focus on our meetings, focus on all the things that we need to do to get prepared to achieve our goal on Sunday.
Thanks, Jeff. Aditi Kinkle-Ball is next.
When you go back to how much have you looked at the tape of Mason Rudolph versus your team last year, and how much is transferable? I mean, the Browns of a year ago gave Mason Rudolph a horrible night well before the helmet incident. 4 picks, I think 4 sacks. How similar or different is this defense, and what can you take from that?
Yeah, I think you go back, Aditi, and you really look at as much tape as you can, whether it was versus the Browns or whomever. You just want to get a feel for the skill set of the player. So Mason Rudolph, I mean, has played a lot of football in this league. He's done a nice job. So we just got to get to know him and really kind of figure out how they're going to adjust with their scheme or not adjust at all. And then that's where we got to have a plan and then be ready to adapt based on how the game unfolds.
When you look at your defense this year, how much is transferable from that defense a year ago?
Some, Aditi. I mean, obviously there's some players that are still on the field, but the schemes are not exactly the same. So I'd say some from a personnel standpoint.
Okay.
Thanks, Aditi. Back to Nate Ulrich.
Kevin, I might have missed a few things. With Wills, when you said you think you'll get him back, are you talking about practice today or the game Sunday? Or
I think we'll get him back this week. I can't tell you if it's today, tomorrow, the next day. I don't have an update there.
Okay. And then for the newest positive tests, I might have missed this, but is it a coaching staff member? Is it an actual coach?
It is, Nate, but I'm not going to get into specifics past that.
Okay. And then is the player on the practice squad or the active roster?
Practice squad.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Nate. Tom Withers, you're up.
Thanks, Rob. Thanks, Coach. You've talked about Baker's resiliency all season. Has that part of him grown this year?
Yeah, I think, listen, I haven't been with Baker even a full calendar year. So, but I could just tell you what I see from the player, and I see a guy that works very, very hard at his craft. And I think you got a chance when you work hard at your craft. So he's had some unbelievable moments in this season. He's had some plays that we all want back, and he's bounced back. He's done a nice job, but just all the things you don't see from a leadership standpoint, from a preparation standpoint, he's been outstanding.
This is a big moment for him. What gives you the most confidence that he's ready for it?
Yeah, he works. I just don't overthink this thing. He works hard at his craft. It's a team game. So we got to have a great week of preparation, and then we got to go play as a team on Sunday.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, Tom. Next is Jake Trotter.
Yeah, Coach, I was going to ask you about the your coaching staff situation. So best way you can answer it, how does this affect your preparation, losing somebody going into this week?
Yeah, honestly, Jake, we've thought about these things months ago. Every team has contingency plans, and we'll adjust accordingly. But it's not something that gets sprung on you in this regard. You have a plan, and then we just got to make sure that everybody's on the same page.
Thanks, Jake. We'll go to Daryl Ryder.
Hey, Coach, I was watching a coaching documentary this week. Bill Belichick had mentioned how he uses losses to refocus his team. And he kind of mentioned that perfect season they had before the Giants beat them in the Super Bowl, and how it might have been good for them to have a loss so he could refocus the team. Since this is like a first time for you guys being in a playoff race and going through this process here, how much can that loss to the Jets, while obviously you didn't want to lose that game, but how much can that loss to the Jets, when you look at the big picture, help you as a coach going not only into Sunday, but if you make the playoffs and you move forward here with your program?
Yeah, Daryl, what we try to do after every game, really win, lose, or draw, try to learn from it. It's uncomfortable after a loss at times to learn from it, to own it. But I will tell you, the players this season in those situations have come right back in the building or right back onto a Zoom call and watched the tape with us, owned it. They take corrections, and then we move past it. We really try to do that after wins as well. You don't want to sweep anything under the rug sometimes when you win a game. So we're mindful of making corrections. We're mindful of identifying things for the guys that we can improve upon. Again, not always fun after a loss, but that was really our focus this past Monday.
Thank you, Daryl. We'll go to Scott Petrick. We need to make this our last one for Coach.
Hey, Kevin, when you look back at that Week 6 game against the Steelers, do you feel like you have to change the game plan or the scheme a lot to have success against that defense?
Well, I mean, we didn't have any success in that game. So obviously you go back and watch that tape, and there's a ton of things that we need to do differently, because that is a outstanding group. I mentioned they're well coached. So we got to work really hard as coaches this week, work really hard as players this week to have a firm understanding of how we want to attack their scheme. But certainly if you look back at that tape, we didn't do a lot of things well in that game.